Alright, today guys we're going to talk about and or probability. Yesterday you dealt with or probability where we had to add the two probabilities and then subtract the overlap. So let's go and take a look at and probability. Alright guys, before we get into definitions that we need to know are dependent and independent events. Okay, dependent events means the first thing that I do is going to affect what happens on the second event. Independent means that they won't affect each other. So for example, if I was going to draw marbles out of a bag, a dependent event would be if I didn't put back the marble once I took out the first draw. Okay, an independent event would be if I replace that marble. Okay, so those are examples of those. Alright, so when we're talking about and probability, where we want one thing to happen and then we want the second thing to happen, so we do two events and we want them both to occur, we will actually multiply the probability of the first thing happening with the second thing happening. Now be careful, sometimes the first one will depend on the second one, and we'll look at those examples later. Now yesterday we talked about or probability when I wanted one thing or another thing to happen, okay, when we did just one attempt at it. So we take the first probability plus the second probability, and then we have to subtract that overlap. Okay, so and is multiplying, or is adding. That's the big thing to come from these notes today. Now let's look at a few examples. So a bag contains 36 red blocks, 48 green blocks, 22 yellow blocks, and 19 purple blocks. Find the probability of picking a red or a purple block on a single draw. So first thing I need to do is add up all the blocks, which is 125. Okay, I'm just going to write that right there. So how many red blocks are there? There's 36 out of 125. And we're going to add our purple blocks, which are 19 out of 125. Okay. And there is no red and purple blocks. There's no overlap. So 36 plus 19 gives us 55. So 55 over 125. We can actually reduce that. Okay, divide them both by 5. So it ends up being 11 over 25. Okay, or you could get the decimal, which is 0.44. Okay, now let's look at probability of picking a green and then a yellow without replacement. So my first green, there's 48, so 48 out of 125. Okay, so I pick that, and without replacement is the key word right here. So I'm not going to put that block in there. So it's an and probability too. So I'm going to multiply. Okay, but I didn't put that block back in there. So I only have 124 blocks now. Okay, and then a yellow block, there is 22 yellow blocks. Okay, so now we multiply, so 48 times 22 gives me 1,056 over 125 times 124, which gives me 1,550. We can try, or 500. We can try to reduce it, or we can just easily divide, which is what I'm going to do. Okay. And I get 0.06, we'll go 3 decimal places here, 8. Okay. All right, let's look at the next example. All right, 2 coins are tossed. What is the probability of getting both heads? So I toss a coin. My probability, we all know, is 1/2. Okay, so if you think we're tossing 2 coins, so I want to get heads and then another heads. So this is going to be an and probability. So I'm going to multiply. So 1/2 times 1/2. Well, that's going to be 1 over 2 times 2 is 4. So 1/4 or 0.25. Now let's find the probability of rolling 2 consecutive 6s on a die. So there's only 1 6 on a die out of 6, and I want 2 consecutive. Consecutive means and. We want one and then another. So we're going to do another 1 out of 6. Okay, so that's going to be 1 over 6 times 6 is 36. And then 136, if you want the decimal, or you can keep it like that since it's reduced, is 0.028. Now find the probability of rolling a die once and getting a 3 or a 5. So we're only rolling it once. There's a 3 and a 5. I have 2 chances if I'm trying to get one of those 2 numbers out of 6, which is 1/3, or 0.3 repeating. Now find the probability of flipping a coin 3 times and getting all heads. So we want a heads, and then another heads, and then another heads. So it would be 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. So we have 3, that's a terrible half. We have 3 probabilities, and we want all 3 of them, one after another. So we're going to multiply this as 1, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 again is 8. So 1/8, which is 0.125. So you can either do 1/8 or 0.125. I'll take either of those. So find the probability of selecting 2 consecutive aces when 2 cards are drawn without replacement from a standard deck of 52 cards. So my probability of drawing an ace the first time is 4 out of 52 because there's 4 aces and I have 52 cards. Now the big thing without replacement means that we're not going to put it back in. Okay? So and it's 2 consecutive, so it's going to be an and, so I'm going to multiply. But now if I didn't put it back in, I'm only going to have 51 cards. And then I drew an ace the first time, so I'm not going to have an ace. So it's going to be 3 aces, okay, out of 51. So now we multiply, I get 12 over 52 times 51 is 2,652, okay. Now we can either get the decimal or reduce it. You can reduce those by 12, so that'd be 1 over 221. And then if you just wanted to do the decimal, it was 0.0045. Okay, since I had 2 zeros, I went to the 4 decimal places just so I was a little bit more accurate with my number. So the big thing there is since it was without replacement, we had to account for us losing an ace and a card when we were drawing that second one right here. Alright, now let's find the probability of selecting a 2 and then a 6 with replacement in a standard deck. So there's 4 out of 52 cards times, since it's an and, okay, keyword in there is and. Now there's 4 6s, okay, but it's with replacement, so I'm putting that card back in. So I took the 2 and I put it back in, so I still have 52 cards. Okay, so that's going to be 16 over 52 times 52 is 2,704. Okay, and then I believe you can divide both of those by 16. So we actually get 1 over 169. And that actually we can reduce, or not reduce that, but we can get the decimal if you want to do the decimal way, and you end up with 0.0059. Okay. Now the big thing there was it was with replacement, so I didn't lose that card on that second draw, so I had 52 on that second draw that I had. Alright, go ahead and get started on the class kick. Ask questions if you have them. Best of luck.